Pete Fairbanks to the Blue Jays makes complete sense. And honestly, the more you look at this situation, the more obvious it becomes that Toronto should be all over this opportunity. The situation down in Tampa Bay remains bizarrely quiet, even though we're already deep into the offseason and several significant moves have happened throughout the American League East. So far, the Rays have barely touched the core of their roster, and the only genuinely relevant addition has been outfielder Jake Fraley, signed to provide more production against right-handed pitching and help balance an offense that desperately needed exactly that kind of boost. But while Fraley represents a useful piece, the real story coming out of Tampa isn't about what they've added, it's about what they've inexplicably let walk away. The Rays made the unexpected and widely criticized decision not to exercise Pete Fairbanks' contract option, despite the fact that he's been one of the most respected and dominant relievers in baseball for years now. This move surprised basically everyone around the league because by letting their former closer go, Tampa Bay didn't just part ways with one of their few truly elite-level arms, they also failed to present any kind of clear replacement plan whatsoever. This whole scenario has left analysts and fans genuinely puzzled. If the intention was purely to save money, those savings haven't translated into any impactful acquisitions so far, which makes the entire decision even harder to understand from a baseball operations standpoint. Fairbanks instantly jumped to the top of multiple teams' priority lists, not only because of his undeniable talent, but also because the high-end reliever market this offseason isn't nearly as deep as it's been in previous years. With so many clubs still needing bullpen help and quality arms becoming increasingly scarce, the fact that the Rays let a pitcher of this caliber walk away for absolutely nothing is being viewed across baseball as a serious strategic mistake. And now to make matters considerably worse for Tampa Bay, the most likely outcome appears to be that Fairbanks ends up strengthening a division rival, precisely the kind of consequence the Rays have historically worked extremely hard to avoid at all costs. This is where the Toronto Blue Jays enter the picture with significant force. After winning the American League Championship Series and coming incredibly close to capturing a World Series title, Toronto has made it abundantly clear that 2026 is not about rebuilding or making gradual adjustments over time. It's about finishing the job they started. The organization wants to maximize its competitive window right now, and the massive 7-year contract they handed to Dylan Cease demonstrates they're fully committed to winning immediately. But one vulnerable area remains on this roster, and that's the bullpen. At last year's trade deadline, the team actively sought reinforcements because they recognized they needed more consistency and depth to survive the gauntlet of October baseball. Jeff Hoffman was reliable for significant stretches of 2025, but his season featured noticeable peaks and valleys that created legitimate concern about his ability to be the sole high-leverage arm down the stretch. For a team with genuine championship aspirations, relying exclusively on a single late-inning weapon is simply too risky a proposition. Fairbanks fits exactly what Toronto needs right now. An experienced reliever who's accustomed to American League East pressure, capable of handling elite lineups in the highest leverage situations imaginable, and possessing the type of overpowering arsenal that instantly raises your bullpen's ceiling. His arrival wouldn't just offer security and depth, it would create valuable tactical flexibility for the manager. He could share late-game responsibilities with Hoffman, reduce Hoffman's overall workload throughout the grueling season, and form a dynamic, genuinely intimidating duo for the final innings that very few opposing lineups would want to face. Even in a worst-case scenario where Hoffman falls into another extended stretch of inconsistency like we saw at certain points last season, having Fairbanks on the roster provides Toronto with a legitimate, elite alternative, something extremely few teams across baseball can actually claim. The divisional context makes this potential acquisition even more urgent and strategically important. The Baltimore Orioles opened their offseason with a clear statement by signing Ryan Helsley, one of the absolute top relievers available on the entire market, immediately raising the competitive bar within the American League East and essentially initiating a true arms race throughout the division. The Yankees and Red Sox still have considerable financial flexibility and room to make major moves of their own. Even the Rays, despite their strangely quiet start to the winter, are historically known for making sudden, shrewd pivots that catch everyone off guard. If Toronto stands completely still and fails to upgrade their bullpen, they risk losing meaningful ground in a division where literally every single detail matters come September and October. Pete Fairbanks hitting free agency at the exact moment the Blue Jays need both reliability and immediate impact makes Toronto's interest not only logical from a roster construction perspective, but genuinely strategic from a competitive standpoint. While Tampa Bay faces mounting scrutiny and criticism for their puzzling decision to let him walk, the Jays see a rare window of opportunity opening up. An elite reliever who's already proven himself under intense division pressure, ready to sign a multi-year contract, and capable of elevating the team's competitive level immediately rather than being a project or developmental piece. If the ultimate cost ends up being a multi-year deal in the neighborhood of what other top relievers have commanded this offseason, Toronto clearly stands out as one of the very few teams with the necessary combination of ambition, financial capability, and competitive urgency to make the right offer that gets this deal done. The Blue Jays have already shown they're willing to spend significant money to improve this roster with the Dylan Cease contract. Adding Pete Fairbanks would be a natural next step that addresses a clear need while simultaneously weakening a division opponent. Fairbanks brings playoff experience, elite stuff with his upper 90s fastball and devastating slider, and the kind of mental toughness you need to succeed in late innings roles in this division. He's pitched in massive games, handled the pressure of closing situations, and consistently produced against the best lineups in baseball. For a Blue Jays team that came so close last season and wants to take that final step, adding someone like Fairbanks isn't just a luxury, it's almost a necessity, given how tight the American League playoff race figures to be and how much quality depth matters when you're trying to win in October.